Yeah.
And I never refer to myself as old, and I hear lots of people saying that. I don't even think of myself that way.
At 71, Oprah Winfrey, once a global symbol of hope and triumph, now faces heartbreaking truths about her life. Struggles and scars remain that money, fame, and power could never heal. Let's deep dive in. Oprah Winfrey was born in 1954 in rural Mississippi, in a time and place where poverty was a harsh daily reality. Her mother, Vernita Lee, was a teenage housemaid with little stability. Her father, Vernon Winfrey, was a soldier who played almost no role in her earliest years. From the very beginning, her life was shaped by instability and the absence of a secure family structure. She spent much of her childhood with her grandmother, Hattie Mae, in a wooden house without running water or electricity. Clothes were often sewn from potato sacks. Food was sometimes scarce. Although her grandmother taught her discipline, faith, and a love of reading, life felt lonely and harsh. At 6 years old, Oprah was sent to live with her mother in Milwaukee. Instead of safety, she found neglect and danger. Her mother worked long hours as a maid and struggled to provide a secure environment. During these years, Oprah suffered repeated abuse from relatives and trusted acquaintances. By the age of 14, she became pregnant. For a teenager already burdened by trauma, it was a crushing reality. Her baby boy died only 2 weeks after birth. Oprah later called this the most painful time in her life. Even at 71, she has admitted that the grief of losing her child never truly left her. Breaking through. Despite her tragic early years, Oprah used education as her escape. She earned a scholarship to Tennessee State University, where she studied communications. Her deep voice and strong presence soon attracted opportunities. At 19, she became the youngest and first Black female co-anchor at Nashville's WLAC-TV. Even with this early break, her path was not without difficulty. She was fired from one reporting job because her delivery was considered too emotional. What others dismissed as weakness later became her greatest gift, the ability to connect with people by showing real empathy. Her career shifted toward talk shows where her natural warmth shined. In 1986, The Oprah Winfrey Show was launched nationally. Within a year, it became the #1 daytime talk show in America. For 25 years, it dominated television. Oprah built a cultural movement around her name, interviewing presidents, celebrities, and everyday people. Yet behind the fame, she still carried the silent scars of her youth. The trauma of abuse, the shame of losing her child, and the insecurities about her worth all followed her even during her years of glory. Public and private life. On television, Oprah appeared powerful, wise, and unshakable. She inspired millions with her honesty. But privately, she often wrestled with solitude and difficult choices. Her long partnership with Stedman Graham has lasted decades, yet the two never married or had children. Oprah has explained that it was her decision. She worried that marriage and family life might distract from her career or repeat cycles of neglect she had experienced. At 71, she has reflected on this decision with mixed feelings. The freedom allowed her to pursue her career fully. But there were moments when the absence of children left her wondering about what might have been. Her family life carried further heartbreak. Her half-brother Jeffrey died of AIDS in 1989. Her half-sister Patricia died from drug addiction in 2003. Later, she discovered another half-sister, also named Patricia, whom she had never met. This new relationship helped bring healing, but also stirred questions about her family history. Health and weight. For much of her public life, Oprah's weight struggles became a painful spectacle. Tabloids followed every change. She herself spoke openly about the battle. In 1988, She created a famous television moment by wheeling out a cart filled with 67 pounds of fat to represent the weight she had lost. Within a few years, she had gained it back. This cycle repeated for decades. She admitted that food was tied to comfort, stress, and unresolved trauma. No matter how much success she gained, her relationship with food remained a constant struggle. On top of this, she faced thyroid problems and blood pressure concerns. Aging brought further reminders of her body's fragility. At 71, she speaks more openly about how her health challenges have humbled her and made her confront her mortality. Another painful theme in Oprah's life has been betrayal. People she trusted, including friends, employees, and family members, sometimes sold private information to the press. She has spoken about how devastating it was to realize that even those closest to her could betray her for money or attention. Betrayal left her guarded and added to the loneliness that fame already created. Loss has been a constant part of Oprah's journey. The death of her infant son left her with grief that never disappeared. Years later, her half-brother Jeffrey died. Then her half-sister Patricia lost her battle with addiction. In 2018, her mother Vernita Lee passed away. Oprah described her feelings as complicated. She mourned her mother, but also the relationship they never had. She longed for a bond that was absent for most of her life. Even the deaths of her beloved dogs brought her grief. She often called them her children. Losing them reminded her once again of how fleeting life can be. Fame's burden. Millions dream of fame, but Oprah has often spoken about its heavy price. Every aspect of her life became public. Her weight, her relationships, even her grief were exposed. She has admitted that fame created isolation. To most people, she was a symbol larger than life. Very few people truly knew the vulnerable woman beneath the spotlight. At times, she has described fame as one of the loneliest places she has ever lived. At 71, Oprah Winfrey remains one of the most influential women of all time. She is a billionaire, a philanthropist, and a media icon who reshaped television and inspired millions. Yet her story is filled with pain, alongside triumph. The abuse, the loss of her child, the betrayals, the grief of losing family, and the constant battle with weight form a tragic thread through her life. Her legacy is both inspiring and heartbreaking. She proved that a girl born into poverty and abuse could rise to unimaginable heights. At the same time, her journey shows that scars never fully vanish. Oprah's life is not simply a story of success. It is a story of resilience built on tragedy. At 71, her triumphs are unmatched, but her tragedies are just as unforgettable. Later, life struggles. As Oprah moved into the later decades of her life, many assumed that success, wealth, and recognition had insulated her from pain. Yet even in her 60s, and now at 71, challenges never disappeared. She has openly shared that fame magnified her problems rather than removing them. Every personal decision was discussed by strangers. Every health scare became a headline. Even her personal philosophy, once celebrated, was attacked by critics who claimed she had grown too powerful. The isolation of fame remained constant. Although she had access to the most exclusive circles of wealth and influence, she often reflected that very few people truly understood her private burdens. Her long relationship with Stedman Graham endured, but many questioned why she never formalized it with marriage. Oprah explained that their arrangement was what gave her freedom, but she also acknowledged that loneliness was an uninvited companion that stayed by her side. Instead of hiding from her tragedies, Oprah transformed them into motivation to give back. Her philanthropy is one of the largest of any celebrity. She has given hundreds of millions to education, healthcare, and opportunities for disadvantaged communities. The Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa stands as one of her proudest achievements. She poured her resources and personal energy into creating a school that would help young women escape the cycles of poverty and abuse she once knew so well. Many of these girls now credit her as a second mother. Yet even philanthropy came with difficulty. Running the academy was not without challenges, including allegations of misconduct by staff members. Oprah was devastated by these incidents, explaining that she felt the weight of responsibility for every child in her care. The experience reminded her that even when trying to heal the world, tragedy can find its way in. Reflection on aging. Now, at 71, Oprah has spoken openly about the passage of time. She no longer runs a daily talk show, and she has shifted to projects with Apple TV and her own network. These ventures keep her voice active, but they also allow her to reflect on the woman she has become. Aging has brought new honesty. She speaks about her mortality without hesitation, acknowledging that she thinks often about how she will be remembered. She has admitted that her greatest fear is not death itself, but the possibility of leaving this world with unresolved pain. She also reflects on her body with humility. Where once she battled constantly to maintain her image, now she speaks about embracing her aging body. Yet the wounds of public scrutiny never completely left her. She knows that millions watched her struggles and judged her appearance in ways that cut deeply. For all of her triumphs, Oprah has regrets. She has said that one of her greatest sources of reflection is her decision not to become a mother. She explained that it was a conscious choice, and one she believed was right for her career and lifestyle. But as she grew older, she began to feel the absence. When she sees her friends surrounded by children and grandchildren, she admits to moments of longing. She reflects on how different her life might have been if she had taken that path. Another regret lies in her relationships with her parents. Her bond with her father was complicated, and her relationship with her mother was distant for most of her life. When her mother died in 2018, Oprah spoke of grieving not just the death, but the lack of closeness they never achieved. She has often said that success cannot replace the nurturing love she missed as a child. The burden of expectations. Being Oprah Winfrey means living under constant expectation. Millions look to her for guidance, inspiration, and wisdom. She built her career on being relatable, yet as her wealth and influence grew, so did the demands placed on her. At times, she admitted feeling exhausted by the weight of these expectations. She has said that she is not a savior, not a flawless role model, but simply a woman who struggles like anyone else. Yet society often refused to allow her that vulnerability. This burden became especially clear during major social movements, when people demanded that Oprah take positions, make statements, or lead conversations. She carried these responsibilities because of her influence, but privately, they drained her. Behind all the achievements, Oprah's story remains layered with pain. She endured childhood abuse that no child should face. She lost her only child at 14. She carried the public weight of body shame. She faced betrayal from people she trusted. She suffered the loss of family members to addiction and disease. Even now, at 71, she acknowledges that these tragedies are part of her every day. Her life is a story of rising above, but never escaping. She turned her scars into strength, but they are still scars. The heartbreaking truth about Oprah Winfrey is that despite her billions, her influence, and her legacy, she still feels the ache of loss, the sting of betrayal, and the loneliness of choices made long ago. While the tragedies are undeniable, Oprah's legacy is not only about heartbreak. It is also about transformation. She proved that trauma can become triumph, that pain can become purpose, and that resilience can change history. She rose from a poverty-stricken farm in Mississippi to become one of the most powerful women in the world. she turned her suffering into a global platform of healing and empowerment. Her story resonates because it is not perfect. It is raw, human, and deeply relatable. At 71, her tragedies remain, but so does her light. The world sees her as proof that broken beginnings can lead to extraordinary legacies. Yet the tragedy of her life reminds us that even icons cannot escape the weight of being human. If Oprah's heartbreaking journey touched you today, share this video, subscribe for more powerful stories, and join our community. Together we explore the real struggles behind the world's biggest names.